as free sugar, added by manufacturer, or that which is naturally present in honey, fruit juice and syrup. To show what a big difference that can make, we took 4 children's favourites to an independent nutritionist. First, this smoothie.
24% of an adult's reference intake. However, for a child between the age of 4 and 6, this would actually contribute 112% of their recommended free sugar intake for the day.
Her checks also show that Capri Sun, labelled as 22% of adult intake, is actually 105% of maximum free sugar recommended for a 4 to 6-year-old under the new guidelines. Rice Krispie mini biscuits are labelled 8% for adults, but are 37% of the new free sugar recommendation for a child. And Jaffa Cake bars, marked as 13% of sugar for adults, are actually 62% of a child's recommendation based on the new policy.
Charlotte Stirling-Reed is a nutritionist who works with children and joins me now. Why, Charlotte, do you think in particular that age group of 11 to 15, obesity, being overweight, is on the rise?
Well, that age group's actually a really hard age group to target. You know, generalising a little bit, they have their own priorities, they have their own needs, and unfortunately that just sometimes isn't around nutrition and health.
I mean, they have more freedom as well, of course. If they're going up to high school, you know, they're away from home a bit more than they were when they were, you know, in primary school. Is that where the problems lie? They're able to choose what they eat?
Yeah, they definitely are developing a lot more independence, so they're able to decide what they want and where they go and what they do, but a lot of that is also instilled from a younger age, and I think that's really important for us to remember, is that what children eat and the patterns of eating behaviour are actually developed at a much younger age often, so it's still important for us to focus a lot of our intervention and attention to the younger ages as well as focusing on teens too.
And we're seeing that, you know, levels of obesity in the younger age children are sort of plateaued. Hopefully they're about to go down. Is it then too late when kids are over the age of 11 to do something about it? Not
necessarily. I mean, I think absolutely when children are younger, it's a better age to work with, and sometimes they're more easy to adapt.
To do it from day one.
Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that children get to the age of 11 and they can't make any changes. And in fact, a lot of teenagers do go through a period where they maybe don't eat so well, but then when they come out of their teens, they start to be able to make healthier decisions and choices for themselves as well. So it can work that way too.
You work with a lot of kids, you work with a lot of families. I mean, what kind of tips do you give them to sort of get through those periods where they're not eating so well or they're a bit worried about their weight?
It's really difficult, and it is difficult because they're starting to make their own decisions, as we said earlier. But really, I would say it's more about trying to role model. That's absolutely key. So parents showing children what to eat and how to eat, and just allowing them to see it in the house and having the healthy foods available. That's really important.
And on the flip side of that, if you do like a sneaky takeaway or a bar of chocolate, don't do it in front of the kids.
Yeah, or make sure that it's every now and then, because there's no problem with having a takeaway, there's no problem with having a chocolate bar. It's really about how often we're having those things and how often those behaviours become the norm in our family. So it's about doing that, but maybe just keeping it to a minimum.
You'll be healthy yourself then, won't you, as well? Charlotte, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Kate's come to meet nutritionist Charlotte Stirling-Reed, who's going to scrutinise the sugar content of her litre of fresh apple juice.
How much sugar would you expect to be in here then?
Okay, well, let's have a little taste. See. So, I don't know, maybe 3 teaspoons?
So shall I show you? You ready for this?
Yeah, go for it.
So, 1. We're on 3 already. 4. 5. 6. And again, just a little extra half. So actually, it has pretty much the same amount of sugar in as fizzy drinks.
Really? So 6.5 teaspoons of sugar in there?
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, massively.
How does this compare to the sugar content of some of the supermarket 100% juices?
Actually, roughly about a teaspoon more in these kind of juices than we've found actually in our fizzy drinks and in our freshly pressed juice.
And why is that?
It just depends very much on the way that the food is processed.
So there's more sugar in a glass of this than a fizzy drink? Really? Is there a difference between the kinds of sugars that are in this drink versus this drink?
Yeah, drinks vary hugely in terms of what sugar is used in them. Something like apple juice has a much higher amount of fructose in it.
I am totally shocked